And we are live. Good evening, folks. Welcome to Friday Night Tech Talk. I'm Mobile Geezer, which you probably know if you're following on my channel. But of course, we do simultaneously cast on Facebook on both my IDs, Mobile Geezer on Facebook or George Hayes on Facebook. So we simulcast on all three at the same time. If you're new here, we do this every week. I go over some articles from last Friday to this Friday, which I find interesting about tech stories. And we discussed them a little bit in the chat. And hopefully, I find articles that you guys find interesting. And every week, if there's a big event, I try to get that story in there. This week, I don't know of any big event. But you guys correct me if I'm wrong. And Brian, first one in, he was here at 7:32. So he was here just about exactly half an hour ago now. So always glad Brian is with us, one of the most faithful subscribers anyone could ever have. And I haven't seen anybody else yet. If you're new here, please type something in the comments and let us know you're here and let us know where you're from. And while we're here, every week I give you the show notes on my webpage. So let's go take a look at that. So if you go to mobilegeezer.wordpress.com, if you click on today's date, you'll get the show notes just for tonight's show. And as I do every week, I'll give you a little preview of the show notes while we're here. So, was it last week or the week before? I told you the beta version of Oxygen OS 15, Android 15, was out for the OnePlus 12, and I hadn't gotten it yet, but I don't have the beta. But yesterday, the Oxygen OS 15 for the OnePlus 12 was released in North America, Europe, and I forgot where, but we'll see it in the story. In any case, I wanted to bring up the story because it's kind of exciting, and it says speed meets AI. And I just said the Oxygen OS 15, Android 15 update is out for the OnePlus 12 on 3 continents. That story I found on Android Central. So that's what we'll start with. Now, like I said, there was no heavy duty stories that I'm aware of this week, but this one kind of caught my attention. You know, we've been talking in America here about banning TikTok, and it seems like they're getting close. But in Canada, TikTok not banned, but shut down in Canada. So I found that story on Engadget. So they're not banned, but they can't operate at the moment. So we'll see how that goes. And of course, TikTok is suing back here to not get banned, and they're going to be suing in Canada also. Then we'll talk about the Washington Post. I just thought this was kind of a cool story. Ask the Post AI. A pretty cool Washington Post AI feature. I found that on Gizmodo. So I just thought it was like a cool feature that the Post added. And we'll take a look on Gizmodo. Then, some people will like this. Green bubble message reactions are finally displaying properly on iOS devices. I guess up till now, if you did a message reaction, it didn't show up the way other ones from iOS devices showed up. Well, now it does. So I thought that was kind of cool. Very short story. And Jen Mosey, the Apple Intelligence Gateway, I called it that. And that came with iOS 8.2. And I do have the beta on that. And I do have my iPhone with me tonight. So I'll try to show you that on the iPhone. It does work to a degree so far. And I do have my OnePlus 12, and I did get the Oxygen OS 15 update. I'll show you that too. So after the Jen Mosey Apple story, Then I found a story on CNBC. Elon may capitalize handsomely for supporting Trump. Now we know Elon's become a huge Trump supporter. Some people think that's part of the reason why Trump won. But the story kind of shows that Elon may benefit with a bunch of his companies just because he's been so faithful to Trump. So I just thought it was a good story to take a look at. And the people who wrote it, they're not crazy about Elon. That's pretty plain, but I just thought it was a good story to show off. And finally, Pixel contextual replies are being enhanced with AI. And you may not know what that is, but when we go into the story on digital trends, it's very easy to explain, and it's something that's coming, they think. So that's all the stories for tonight. Of course, now Ted did come in last week before I did the last story. Hopefully, if he's coming in, he comes in a little earlier tonight. I hope he's here. And Eleanor is here. So now we've got Brian Atnell, two of the most faithful there are. So I haven't seen anybody else yet. And if Ted comes in, I will certainly let you know. And of course, if by any miracle Will or Mike come in, I'll certainly let you guys know about that. Other than that, if it's just me, as usual, a short night. But maybe Ted will pop in on us. So nothing else new. We will go with the first story. The Oxygen OS 15, Android 15 update is out for the OnePlus 12 on 3 continents. That's a story on Android Central. The OnePlus 12 is now, and this was from 2 days ago, the OnePlus 12 is now getting the stable Android 15 update. And we did all get, at least I got mine right away. That's by Jay Bongolto. And the Oxygen OS 15 update is now hitting OnePlus 12 devices worldwide with releases in North America, India, and Europe. So pretty widespread. So let's drop this into reader views, get rid of some of these ads, and I will show you my phone with it. Well, let me start with that. Let's get my OnePlus 12 here. Let's stop screen for a second. Let me go down here. Click on version. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's, let's see, it's Android 15. Not sure if you can see, but anyway, I do have it. And there are some nice features. Now, OnePlus has some AI features coming in with the Android 15 update, but also they'll be bringing in more features in the next few weeks. So I just wanted you guys, let me get my phone back to YouTube. I like to keep track of the comments in YouTube also. So I told you it was 2 days ago. OnePlus has officially launched the stable Oxygen OS 15 update, and it's now being rolled out globally to OnePlus 12 devices. The OEM has surprisingly fast-tracked the Oxygen OS 15 rollout for OnePlus 12 devices across multiple regions, including North America, India, and Europe. This quick release follows the recent launch of the open beta, and that was only like a week ago in several markets, or 2 weeks ago, with some areas like North America skipping the beta phase altogether. OnePlus has admitted that the early launch of the Android 15 update may have been influenced by competition, with other Android phones getting the same treatment more quickly than before. The company confirmed that the update will be rolled out to users in phases over the course of the week. Like I say, mine was like right away that night. Matter of fact, the iPhone and the OnePlus I got both updates the same night. Android 15 based Oxygen OS 15 brings a host of AI-powered features and smoother app animations, and it's very smooth and a little bit quicker. One standout addition is the Open Canvas feature, which was previously only available on the OnePlus Open, and that means you can have 3 apps open at one time. And before, yes, you could only have that on the OnePlus Open, which you guys know I also have. Although Oxygen OS 15 brings plenty of improvements, OnePlus has noted that new AI features are still being worked on. So they kind of pushed this out, but in a way that, we're all kind of glad about it. These are in testing now and will be gradually rolled out to users throughout November. So by the end of this month, we should have full AI features with Oxygen OS 15. While the AI features aren't in its first release, Oxygen OS 15 still packs plenty of cool new features and upgrades. For example, updated icons and rounded corners bringing sharper, cleaner visuals to the home screen and system. And yes, as soon as mine updated, the home screen was completely different. And you could really see it wasn't Android 14 anymore. And I had to go find my home screen picture that I use. Furthermore, there are new customizable themes, and I already tried one of the themes, with fluid animations across your home screen. And the animations are much more fluid, very quick. A lock screen and always on display. Plus, new gestures make multitasking easier with resizable windows and intuitive controls. And I haven't tried that yet. Charging limit also keeps your battery at 80%. That's right. Like some other, like this PC I'm working on right now. It tops out at 80%, so you don't go to 100% every time you charge and wear out your battery quicker. I guess that's a good thing. Sometimes I'll override it even on my computer. To help it last longer with reminders for protection. Holo Audio improves sound quality for online calls and meetings. I had some calls when I used my iPhone, my OnePlus 12 at work today, but I didn't notice the sound difference, but I probably wasn't paying attention because I was working. The centralized safety hub and organized private safe provides easier access to personal data and apps. Overall, Oxygen OS 15 is all about smooth visuals, better multitasking, and personalizing your device. You can view the full changelog OnePlus on OnePlus's website. Yeah, and there's a very long list. But in any case, just wanted you guys to be aware that they did come through, and they came through kind of quick too, even for those of us who weren't on the beta. So I thought that was kind of cool. So that's story number 1. Nothing new in the comments. So go back. Okay. Go back to the next story. And like I said, this is TikTok and Canada. TikTok not banned, but shut down in Canada. I found that on Engadget. And I don't think anybody was expecting this. Canada orders TikTok to shut down its business operations in the country due to national security risks. The app isn't being banned, however. That's by Carissa Bell, and that was from 2 days ago. And the funny thing is, it doesn't give a specific date, so I guess they mean shut down right away. So let's go into read a view. Canada has ordered TikTok to shut down its operations in the country, citing unspecified national security risks posed by the company and its parent ByteDance. And it seems like they always have security risks, but nobody specifies them, which is kind of funny. With the move, TikTok will be forced to wind up all business in the country, though the Canadian government stopped short of banning the app, but they did shut down all their business. So it's very weird. The government is taking action to address the specific national security risks related to ByteDance Ltd's operations in Canada, though the establishment of TikTok Technology Canada Incorporated through the establishment of TikTok Technology Canada Incorporated, Canada's Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry, Francois Philippe Champagne, said in a statement, the decision was based on the information and evidence collected over the course of the review and on the advice of Canada's security and intelligence community and other government partners. But nobody tells you exactly what's wrong, which I think is strange anyway. Canada's crackdown on TikTok follows a multi-step national security review process by its intelligence agencies, the government said in a statement. As the CBC points out, the country previously banned the app from official government devices, so the government devices already had lost it. It also comes several months after the United States passed a law that could ban the app stateside, and TikTok is fighting that in court. U.S. lawmakers have also cited national security concerns and the app's ties to China. TikTok has mounted an extensive legal challenge to the law. In a statement, a TikTok spokesperson said the company would challenge Canada's order as well. Shutting down TikTok's Canadian offices and destroying hundreds of well-paying local jobs is not in anyone's best interest, and today's shutdown order will do just that, the spokesperson said. We will challenge this order in court. The TikTok platform will remain available for creators to find an audience. I don't understand what that means because it said shut down right now, so I don't understand how it remains available for creators to find an audience. Explore new interests and for businesses to do. Oh, so they're saying the platform will stay there even though their business is shut down at the moment. So it seems like, all the politicians, at least in a bunch of countries, not just America and Canada, are coming down on TikTok, but nobody seems to be specifying exactly what TikTok is doing wrong, other than they think they have some tie to the government, but they can't tell you what that tie is. At least they don't seem to be able to. So it's all very strange, in my opinion. Okay, so nothing else new. We will go on. Like I said, if it's just me, it's going to be a short night, but we know that. So I just thought this was kind of a cool feature the Washington Post has put in. Ask the Post AI, that's the name of the feature. A pretty cool Washington Post AI feature. And I found this on Gizmodo. So let's go take a look. Jeff Bezos' Washington Post launches an AI product after losing 250,000 subscribers. Yeah, and you'll see why. Ask the Post lets readers ask questions and receive AI-generated responses based on the newspaper's back catalog of reporting. Oh, and that came out yesterday, and it was written by Thomas Maxwell. So let's jump into reader view. Get rid of some of these ads. The folks over at the Washington Post have had a rough week, losing more than 250,000 subscribers after owner Jeff Bezos ordered the newspaper to not make an endorsement in the 2024 election. Now, people are upset about that. There was a time, maybe 20, 30 years ago, when no newspaper endorsed anybody. They were trying to be fair, but that has changed. But hey, look over there. It's a shiny new AI chatbot. Ask the Post AI, as it's aptly called, is a new chatbot from the Post that returns AI-generated answers to questions based on the newspaper's back catalog of stories published since 2016. For instance, if you ask, and this is pretty cool, if you ask it how many homes were damaged in Colorado's 2021 Marshall Fire, it returns a response saying the Marshall Fire in Louisville, Colorado in December 2021 destroyed more than 1,000 homes, making it the most destructive blaze in the state's history. That's a pretty good answer. That is correct. Below the answer are links to the Post's related stories that it culled the information from. So it's only looking at Post stories, but still, I think based on what it's saying here, it does a pretty good job. Generative AI and the rise of conversational formats are opportunities for us to draw upon our long legacy of fact-based, thoroughly reported journalism to delight and inform readers in new ways, the Post said in an announcement. Media companies have been looking for ways to protect themselves against the rise of chatbots like ChatGPT, which could threaten their businesses if people use chatbots to learn about news events rather than going to news websites directly. So I think that was pretty smart of them to add this. Some outlets have begun partnering with AI companies to receive some compensation in exchange for using their work as training data. That's true. Others have instead been suing to stop the unauthorized use of their reporting, and I've reported on that a bunch of times. And in the case of the Post, of course, it's trying to make its own chatbot. Sounds like they did a pretty good job to me. The newspaper acknowledges that chatbots have a tendency to hallucinate or make up stuff that isn't true. After all, chatbots are just statistics programs. They guess what word should come after the one that preceded it, but can't interpret fact versus fiction, and that's important, or differentiate between legitimate and suspect information sources. That's also true. That being said, chatbots tend to perform better when they're given a limited set of curated data rather than being allowed to pull from any source on the web. So here they can just pull from the Washington Post from 2016 forward. By limiting the search results to our published work, we are ensuring that every piece of information synthesized by the AI is based on work previously published by the Washington Post newsroom. The Post said that if its AI isn't able to find sufficient enough reporting to generate a response, it won't reply. In regards to energy usage, the newspaper says it optimized the program to be agnostic regarding which AI models it uses and claims the program requires no more energy than running any typical software. Funnily, the announcement article states that the chatbot may not always function exactly as we hope. Well, that's always true, which is why we are asking you to confirm the results with the published articles. Seems like that would defeat the purpose. That does seem true. So they want you to let them know how it did, I guess. There's some debate about whether AI chatbots would draw traffic away from independent websites. Some argue that people will always want a deeper read and will use chatbots as mere jumping off points or to answer simple matter-of-fact questions like, why is the sky blue? Maybe so. The Post chatbot definitely could be useful for the former, as search on any news websites is often quite bad. But anyone who has used Google recently knows its AI-generated replies fixed to the top of searches are good at answering a lot of questions. Yeah, for me it is. Whether those answers are accurate is another question. It seems impossible to deny that some traffic will be eaten up by AI. The Post hopes a conversational chatbot can serve as enough opportunity to delight and inform readers. That's twice we've seen that same phrase. The newspaper hasn't exactly delighted readers recently since it was learned that owner and Amazon co-founder Jeff Bezos decided at the 11th hour that the newspaper wouldn't endorse a president. I think he did the right thing then, just my opinion. In light of Bezos's recent public support for President Trump on Twitter, well, they all congratulated him now. And the president-elect's long-running disdain for Bezos, it looks like a lot like he was trying to curry favor or prevent any further animus. Yeah, all the big shots all gave him big congratulations. The Post lost over 250,000 subscribers in the wake of the news. Not good for a newspaper that already wasn't doing well. It just goes to show that although Bezos has money to support the Post, being owned by a businessman with other interests comes with its own problems. So, like I said, I just thought that chatbot they came up with, it was a pretty good idea, and it sounds like it's doing okay so far. So, it's just interesting. So Brian said, guess people want their news to lean one way or the other. That's probably true, Brian. But yeah, people are generally like that. That's why people watch CNN versus CNBC versus Fox, I guess. But anyway, I just thought it was a cool bot that they put in. So let me get a little green tea here. All right, we will go on. Green bubble message reactions are finally displaying properly on iOS devices. And I found this on The Verge. Oh, and I did go back and double check. Having an iOS and Android device with me most every day, it's easy for me to check this stuff. So let me stop screen just for a minute and I'll try to show you what I mean. So I just said testing. I don't know if you can see that. I just said testing message reactions. Yeah, I think it's overpowering. But the first one, you can see that skull, it didn't come back on the testing line. But after I did the update and followed the instructions on how to send it back, yeah, I did the skull right after it, and it came up. That's exactly the way it comes up to iOS devices. This was sent from my Android device. So the article is telling the truth. Okay. Brian said, yeah, but scheduled messages can't be sent to iGen. Yeah, they haven't fixed that yet. He said, another annoying Apple block. Now, of course, we know Will would disagree with you, but they're making progress. And the article does say they don't know who fixed this, whether it was on Google's end or on Apple's end. But you'll see that in the article. So let me go back to sharing that article. Okay. Apple is finally letting green bubbles send message reactions. Now, when Android users send a message reaction to an iOS friend, it actually looks as it should, as I just showed you. And that was by Uma Shakir, and that was from yesterday. So into reader view we go. Apple is showing some love to Android users by finally displaying their message reactions correctly. Now, when an Android user reacts to an RCS message from an iOS user, the selected emoji will appear in line with the message bubble on iOS, which I just showed you, instead of archaically appearing as a separate line, which I showed you the first one, like this. And I used the skull because that was in this article. That wasn't supposed to happen. The Verge sent test messages and emoji reactions between iPhones running iOS 18.1 and different Android phones, confirming both devices now display reactions as intended. Now, of course, I didn't have two iOS devices to do it with, but I could see the difference right after I updated. It's unclear when this change happened or whose side, Google or Apple, had to make adjustments to get it working. So one of them did, or both, but I guess we'll never know. When RCS first launched widely on iOS in September, message reactions from Android users still weren't being displayed correctly on the iPhone, even though they worked the other way around. We reached out to both companies for comment, but did not hear back before publication. So I flipped, no pun intended, looks as intended, just showing you that it actually did work. And I guess that's the evidence there. But anyway, I showed it. Oh, here we go. If they're happy that this is the same as the way it should work. So Apple's quiet improvement to RCS messages comes as a surprise. Nobody expected it. Apple for years ignored Google's campaign to get the company to adopt the standard, ultimately complying only after a mix of pressure in both China and the EU. Basic support for RCS was included in iOS 18. Within the Messages app, Apple officially supports the basic RCS standard known as the RCS Universal Profile. Emoji reaction support is part of RCS version 2.7, which should also include the ability to edit a sent message. And I don't think I tried that. But we could not make that work out because they couldn't make it work on iOS. Of course, Apple will keep as many exclusive features as possible for its Blue Bubble exclusive, because it's the Blue Bubble iMessage service, at least as long as it isn't forced to change. So anyway, I just thought, a little progress is better than none at all. So, all right. So nothing else new. All right, Brian, I'll try not to annoy you anymore. The next one is a cool one, I think. Genmoji, the Apple Intelligence Gateway. That's what I called it. And it's kind of cute, but you have to do this. Let me get my iPhone up. It's kind of, you have to do a request when you first do it. So if I go to do a text message and then I hit the emoji over here on the end, and you'll see that in the story, you get a special little emoji over here. And if you hit it, see, it says there early access requested, and which I did last night. Yeah, last night. And they'll notify you when it's ready to do what the story says. So I haven't been able to get it to do it yet, but I guess it'll let me know. But I still think it's kind of cool. So let's go into Tech Radar, and I'll show you what this is all about. I've used Genmoji, and now I'm convinced Apple Intelligence will be a huge success. That's by John Anthony DeSoto, published yesterday. An upcoming viral sensation he thinks it might be. So let's drop it into reader view. And I think for us iPhone users, this is pretty cool. Genmoji is finally available to the public thanks to the new iOS 18.2 public beta, which I'm on, which was released this week. I've been using Apple's generative AI emojis for the last few weeks, and after my initial testing period, I'm not only hooked, but I'm now convinced Apple Intelligence will be a huge success. Why? Well, aside from how much fun it is creating emojis of anything, and that's the thing, you can create emojis out of anything or anybody that comes to mind, including a frog drinking a beer or a French bulldog riding a skateboard. Genmoji feels like the kind of feature that will instantly impact society and our online lives. It's fun, cute, and the perfect way to entice users into investing in Apple Intelligence. I totally agree. What even is Genmoji? There's a cowboy frog. Now, he just told it to create that, and it goes and creates what looks like a cowboy frog. Genmoji is one of the main Apple Intelligence features coming to iOS, iPadOS, and macOS later this year. I haven't tried it on my MacBook Air yet. I will. It's an easy-to-use image generator that might be one of the best AI image generators just because of how accessible it is. I did go on YouTube and find somebody who already had it working, and it is cute and easy. Built into your iPhone's emoji keyboard, as I showed you, Genmoji is always just a tap away and allows you to create useful emojis that work just like your standard yellow smiley face. So not only can you use Genmoji in a text, but you can also react to messages and even use it with Apple's message effects. Third-party apps like Messenger and WhatsApp should also be compatible when the feature launches in December. So it'll be out for everybody next month. software features built into the best smartphones these days are fun to use, but quickly become gimmicks that never make it into your day-to-day life. And I think what will make this successful is that it's so easy to do, and it is very easy to do. Others like Genmoji make sense as soon as you use them for the first time. That's true. And you start to incorporate them into your everyday. And like I said, since I've seen examples of it, it's so easy to use. I think people will use it every day. I found Genmoji to be one of the most accessible and easy to use AI features, not just because of its UI, but because it makes sense to whoever tries it out. I've shown Genmoji on my iPhone 16 Pro Max, and I have it on my iPhone 15 Pro Max. If it's not an iPhone 15 Pro or above, like 16, then you're not going to be able to get Apple Intelligence. Shown Genmoji on my iPhone 16 Pro Max to the latest tech-literate friends and elderly family members, and all of them just got it. Like I said, it's so easy to use. Everybody gets it right off the bat. Within a few moments of trying Genmoji out, everyone had the same reaction. Historic bouts of laughter, followed by asking how they could use it on their iPhones too. That reaction is often when you know that something will take off. Yeah, I think that's true. That first exposure where people show interest and flock to the Apple Store to test it out. I previously worked at the Genius Bar in my local Apple Store, and you could always sense when a feature would be a success based on how many normal folks walked in and asked about it. I imagine Apple stores worldwide are bombarded with Apple Intelligence questions now. Well, yes, since they've been throwing them in commercials like crazy. And I suspect that the best way to showcase what AI on an iPhone looks like is with Genmoji. Yeah, that's a real quick way to show it. It's just that good. A gateway into Apple Intelligence. Genmoji is the perfect gateway into Apple Intelligence, a friendly and easy-to-use feature that quickly becomes part of communicating with your friends. Apple's strategy with Apple Intelligence is very clever. Add a fun Apple-specific instant messaging tool like Genmoji with viral potential, and then watch as everyone scrambles to get a new Apple Intelligence compatible device, they hope, to be just as cool as their friends, maybe. With viral culture a staple in today's world, and sites like TikTok spreading consumerism like never before. I'm not in Canada anymore. Gen Z is going to fall in love with Genmoji, and by doing so, enter a world of Apple Intelligence that they may not have been interested in otherwise. That's probably true. Try telling a teenager that writing tools are cool, and they'll most likely shrug their shoulders. But show a teenager Genmoji, and they'll instantly want to show their creations to their friends. Yeah, because you can do it with anybody's face or anything you ask for. If Genmoji does pick up in the way I think it will, it does open up some questions about cyberbullying. For instance, one of the best ways to use Genmoji is by creating emojis based on photos of people you have on your phone. That's true. In high school, this could be used to humiliate classmates, and that could cause huge concern. Yeah, I didn't think of that, but that does make sense. This issue isn't limited to Genmoji, though. It's a problem with AI image generators in general. That's true. And Google, as I told you in the story week before last, that Google is already putting things in place. So at least you'll be able to identify that it was AI. So far from my testing, I've noticed Apple won't edit my likeness, which could be to combat issues like bullying. For example, if I ask Genmoji to create me as an ogre, Shrek, it will just turn my t-shirt green, leaving the human elements as is. I guess that's probably a good thing, I guess. I'm also yet to see any use of Genmoji that would flag up as concerning, and that makes me hopeful that Apple has found a way to combat the dangers of image generation. Well, one can hope. Genmoji is due to launch in early December and will be available on all the best iPhones and iPads like the iPad Mini 7, the cheapest device that offers Apple Intelligence. Like I said, I wanted to show it to you guys last night, but they haven't notified me that it's ready yet. If my gut feeling is correct, I think we'll see a lot about Genmoji and in turn hear more about Apple Intelligence as mainstream consumers flock to AI as the perfect holiday gift. Apple is onto something with Genmoji, I agree. And it might just be the best Apple Intelligence feature ready to expose other AI tools to the average customer. Yeah, it's going to be a really cute way to get people to use it. And I agree with them. I think it will get people to use it. Brian said, Apple Intelligence would be the meme machine with image generators. That's true. And as always, you're very faithful, sir, and I appreciate it so very, very much. So anyway, I think it's a very cool thing they've added, and I think it's very smart of Apple to make that in the first, in December, and when you first start using Apple Intelligence. And I think once it becomes available next month to everybody, my guess is that's going to get a lot of people a lot more interested in Apple Intelligence. That's my guess. So I think he's perfectly right in the article. So, no Ted yet, nobody else. You've got 2 stories left. This one with Elon is kind of long. I just thought it was interesting. Found this on CNBC. Elon may capitalize handsomely for supporting Trump. So, how Elon Musk stands to cash in on Trump's presidential victory. Yeah, see, they're saying cash in. These people are not crazy about Elon, but I still think it's a good story. And this is from yesterday, and it's by Laura Kolodny. Kolodny is my guess. Yeah, Laura Kolodny. Okay. Let's drop this into reader view. As Donald Trump celebrated his presidential victory early Wednesday morning, Elon Musk was right there with him. A star is born, Elon, Trump said on stage at his Mar-a-Lago resort, thanking the world's richest person for spending 2 weeks campaigning in Pennsylvania. They keep calling him he was the world's richest, but that comes and goes, just like sometimes Bezos is, sometimes he is, sometimes other people are. Musk, who poured at least $130 million into a pro-Trump campaign effort, turned Trump support into yet another full-time job in recent months. He does keep himself juggling, funding a swing state operation to register voters and using his social media platform X to constantly tout his preferred candidate, frequently with misinformation. Well, it seems to have worked because it seems like Trump took all the swing states. Musk's investment in Trump is already paying off, even though Trump doesn't take office until January 20th. Yeah, now they're going to start telling you how it pays off, and they're right. Tesla shares soared 15% on Wednesday, adding roughly $15 billion in paper value to Musk's net worth. And that's only the day after, not even a day after Trump was elected. So, yeah, he's already benefiting. The electric vehicle maker faces headwinds in the global market from China-based competitors. Yeah, I gather BYD is doing extremely well. Declining European sales and consumers' growing distaste for his political views. But with Musk cozying up to Trump and the president-elect promising to slash the types of regulation that Musk abhors, Wall Street is betting Tesla on balance will be a beneficiary. I would be too if I were holding this stock. For Musk, the potential gains go well beyond Tesla. During his victory speech, Trump also praised Musk's SpaceX. Well, yes, since they seem to be the only one that can keep people back and forth from the space station safely, and thanked Musk for delivering Starlink Wi-Fi terminals to hurricane-stricken parts of the U.S. Yes, he did, to especially North Carolina. That all leaves Musk with plenty of reasons to be optimistic that a second Trump administration will pay healthy dividends to him and his business. I would think, Trump's going to be very grateful. Musk's companies are currently embroiled in a range of probes and lawsuits from federal agencies pertaining to matters including alleged securities, law violations, workplace safety, labor and civil rights violations, violations of federal environmental laws, consumer fraud, and vehicle safety defects. I didn't know he had all these things. Yeah, my guess is, yeah, it'll help to have Trump on his side, at least for the next 4 years. Given the executive branch's outsized control over federal regulatory bodies, Musk can look forward to regulators and intelligence agencies winding down some or all of the 19 known ongoing federal investigations and lawsuits against Tesla, SpaceX, and X, formerly known as Twitter. Maybe so. At New York's Madison Square Garden on October 27th, Musk was one of the many Trump fans and surrogates to speak during an all-day rally. Much of the coverage of the event focused on comedian Tony Hinchcliffe's bigoted quips, and I agree they were bigoted quips. Well, maybe they were bigoted clips, but he was making a very bad joke about the garbage that's been piling up on the island, but it was a very bad joke, including his description of Puerto Rico as a floating island of garbage. The interesting thing is, I saw a report yesterday that the largest district in the Miami area that is almost entirely Puerto Rican, Trump won that bigger than he ever won it. So it didn't seem to bother them, I guess. Musk was introduced by Cantor Fitzgerald CEO Howard Lutnick, who called the Tesla CEO the greatest capitalist in U.S. history. Maybe so, I don't know. Lutnick said he and Musk were co-founders of the envisioned Department of Government Efficiency, and he asked how much he thought could be cut from the federal budget. Musk answered at least $2 trillion. Yeah, we know Musk is good at firing people, that's for sure, which is more than the federal government's discretionary budget of $1.7 trillion. The remark received a scream from Lutnick and applause from the crowd. I just always feel bad when people get fired. All right, Ted, you're there. Well, you're kind of there.
I'm there.
Okay, you are there. Okay.
Good evening, folks.
So you made a little bit better because now I'm in my next to last story. So you made it a little bit early, which I appreciate. I'm on the story about Musk and Trump. So let me get through this. Musk didn't specify what he sought to cut, but he previously accused agencies, including the SEC, Environmental Protection Agency, and the Federal Aviation Administration, of regulatory overreach or infringing on his free speech right. Yeah, once you interfere with his businesses, he's going to get angry, whether he's right or not. He also accused the Biden administration of hiring too many IRS personnel. Well, they kind of said they were going to do that when Biden came in, and has vocally objected to a so-called billionaire's tax. Having a role in a bespoke commission could give Musk power over federal agencies, budget, staffing, and the ability to push for the elimination of inconvenient regulations. And that's probably true, but I don't think you want to give a businessman too much power where he can affect his own businesses from the government. That probably wouldn't be a good idea. Musk also said during a Tesla earnings call on October 23rd that he intended to use his sway with Trump to establish a federal approval process for autonomous vehicles. That may be tougher than you think. Currently, approvals happen at the state level. Yeah, I'm thinking that Congress is going to have something to say about that. Tesla has been working on driverless technology for more than a decade, but hasn't yet produced a robotaxi or vehicle safe to use without a human, ready to steer or brake at any time. Now, he's saying that's going to happen by next year, but we'll see. Not with the robotaxis necessarily, but with the Tesla cars. Additionally, a Trump administration may agree to ramp up the government's work with its companies. That's very true. Musk's newest startup, xAI, is developing large language models and generative artificial intelligence software that aims to compete with similar products from Microsoft-backed OpenAI, Meta, and others. Meta recently announced its open source Llama models were available to U.S. government agencies in the areas of defense and national security. And OpenAI is already working with the U.S. military after adding a retired U.S. Army general and former director of the National Security Agency to its board in June. Yeah, you start working with the military, you're going to make a lot of money. Musk didn't respond to a request for comment. So I think it's very true that Elon may benefit quite a bit from his support of Trump. And maybe he should, but I just don't think they should overdo it. That's my guess. Anyway, very interesting, sir. So how are you, sir? And why are we not seeing your face?
No, there's no light out, so pointless. It's a storm. But we're doing good. Doing good.
Okay.
Eventful week.
Eventful in what way? Work or with your camera stuff or what?
Yeah, work mostly. Funny that you mentioned the IRS. Yeah, I know for a fact. This is it's usually this time of year. The IRS is aggressively hiring. They're even giving like $2,000 incentives to new hires.
And that's true. But remember, when just before Biden came in, they said they were going to hire, I think they said 80,000 new IRS workers. So I guess they probably did.
My gosh, that's 80,000.
So, all right, I got one story left. You want it?
I'll take it.
It's the Pixel one. All right, I'm going to pull it up. Pixel Contextual. I said Pixel Contextual replies being enhanced with AI, and this was on Digital Trends. So, pulling it up now.
A new Google Pixel feature could make managing phone calls a breeze.
Yeah, try to come up a little bit louder. You're a bit soft.
Contextual replies are one of the best parts of the Google Pixel experience. This feature allows you to respond to a call without actually answering it. The Google Assistant voice asks why you're calling and allows you to answer with a generated response for specific keywords. For example, if someone's calling to confirm an appointment, you can reply with confirm. It's a great feature, especially if you aren't fond of talking on the phone. Now, an update to the contextual replies could take the feature to the next level with AI responses. The team at 9 to 5 Google found snippets of code in the latest beta version of the Phone by Google app that suggests a wider range of capabilities is on the way. Yay.
Yep.
Although details are scarce, the names of variables within the code and the text itself are pretty clear. One string is called AI replies, and the font style suggests it's a header. The other is turn on AI replies, ? And there will presumably be a toggle available. The setting doesn't exist yet, and though the code might be present in the beta, it doesn't mean the feature will be part of the next update. However, it does confirm that Google has its sights set on expanding the contextual call feature to allow Gemini to respond for you. You can already reply to calls with basic prompts like confirm and thank you, but AI replies should greatly expand the types of quality of replies you can select. After that, who knows where the possibilities will stop. It might be one day possible for Gemini to make appointments and reservations for you. I thought that was already supposed to be a thing.
That's what I thought too, but I guess not.
Of course, this feature might not be released. It's best not to count your chickens before they hatch after all. But this is one feature we hope to see soon.
So, so Brian, I think that's something you'll be able to use being a Pixel fan. So I just thought it was a nice little addition, assuming it comes through, because it's not really yet. They just spotted in the code so far.
Mm-hmm.
So now as I often forget to do, I always say on the web page. Let me present that again. I always say on the web page at this point that this is where we have open discussion. I often forget to say that, but anything you guys want to discuss in the comments, Brian or anybody else, just feel free. This would be the time to do it, but just want to make sure I remember it. But we're glad to have Ted here, and at least he got in before we started the last story, and that's a good thing. So were you busy at work today too, that you were late with us, or are you just busy with other stuff?
Oh yeah, no, I was just getting in home, and it was raining cats and dogs, so I was just driving extra slow.
Oh, okay. That makes perfect sense then.
Yeah, there's actually a bonus story, although you might have already covered it. Carriers claim new FCC rule will make your phone more expensive. It's on
No, I didn't see it. Where?
it's on the last article. If you scroll more further down on the
Oh, I got you. I got you.
if you scroll down on that last story you read.
All right, let me bring it back up again. Yeah, I always stop before I run into the next story, but okay.
It's basically talking about the rule the FCC is making carriers unlock their
Well,
phone after
she's
60 days.
much as I like her, she's probably going to get fired because all the big companies want to get rid of her because she's doing her job way too good for them.
She's smart. She's she's hip to all the things.
Exactly. Okay. Okay. Here's the story. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
You want to read?
I'll read it. Brian M. Wolf. In the U.S. Federal Communications Commission, FCC is considering a rule requiring carriers to unlock phones within 60 days of purchase. According to Wired, two of the largest carriers, AT&T and T-Mobile, are advising caution, saying it could negatively impact the consumers. In a recent filing to the FCC, T-Mobile explains if the commission mandates a uniform unlocking policy, it is consumers, not providers, who stand to lose the most. You hear that, Brian?
Yep.
You lose a lot. Be grateful. Your phone, they give you your phone. And you have to ask after 90 days, 6 months. It continues. Consumers risk losing access to the benefits of free or heavily subsidized handsets because a proposal would force providers to reduce the lineup of their most compelling handset offers. In a note to the FCC, AT&T said that requiring providers to unlock handsets before they are paid off would ultimately harm consumers by creating upward pressure on handset prices and disincentives to finance on flexible terms. It goes on to say if the FCC implements any rules, it should maintain existing contractual arrangements between customers and providers and ensure that providers have at least 180 days to detect fraud before unlocking a new device and include at least a 24-month period for providers to implement any rules. I can agree on the latter bit, but 6 months?
Yeah, everything is 6 months with the government. I don't know what the deal is there. Anyway, I'm glad you caught that story.
In other words, the carriers claim that locked phones are good for customers and lead to lower prices. Consumer advocates who support the new rule think the opposite. They believe the proposal would lead to more choice and lower prices. Unlocked phones gives consumers the ability to easily move between carriers as they see fit. The new rule was proposed earlier this year. The agency is now seeking public comments. Oh, you guys were? Oh, leave my comment before.
I don't even know where you are at the moment. I can't keep up with you at the moment.
The proposal requires all mobile wireless service providers to unlock handsets 60 days after a consumer's handset is activated with the provider. Within the 60-day period, the service provider determines the handset was purchased through fraud. When the new rule was proposed, FCC criticized T-Mobile's decision to lock prepaid phones for a year. The third largest carrier in the U.S. after Verizon and AT&T, T-Mobile unlocks fully postpaid phones that have been active for at least 40 days. Its 365-day lock-on prepaid users has led to many angry customers, especially after it raised prices earlier this year. Current AT&T policies allow the unlocking of paid phones after 60 days for postpaid users and 6 months for prepaid users. Verizon is the most compliant with the FCC's new rules among the three major carriers. It unlocks phones automatically after 60 days for both prepaid and postpaid.
Good.
Carriers lock phones for various reasons, including reducing customer churn, allowing them to recoup subsidies that they often use to gain new customers, and preventing fraud. When a phone is locked, however, users have a more difficult time switching carriers and could also be forced to pay higher costs since they must continue to pay for the service while paying off the phone. Unlocking a phone can also be time-consuming and may involve contacting the carrier or paying a fee. Consumer advocates that support the new rule include public knowledge, New America's Open Technology, Consumer Reports, yada, yada, yada. The FCC has not established a timeline for implementing the new plan. However, with a new U.S. president taking office in January, changes to the board composition are expected. This increases the likelihood of a vote occurring before the end of the year.
Yeah, like I said, I think she's the best FCC commissioner they've had. So, but Google, Facebook, everybody can't stand it because she's actually doing her job. So they're probably going to get rid of her. And Brian said no more locked phones. Yeah, I agree with it. I agree with it. But she's the one who pushed that through too. So anyway, we will see what conspires. I thought I saw something somewhere that Trump was already thinking about getting rid of her, but I think that was probably based on one of the big Google or somebody, starting to pressure him already, which is why they're all congratulating him. So anyway, well, you gave us 2 bonus stories. So you no bicycle this week or just today with the rain?
Yeah, no bicycle this week as well. And actually, I got a flat. The guy still repairing it. Turns out he's taking so slow because he got robbed 2 weeks ago. His store.
Really? At his bicycle store?
Yep.
Okay.
Actually, that reminds me. I need to go message him, tell him to. Yeah, he wanted to get a proposition to me. Like he really wants me to buy a new bicycle and have me, give him my bicycle so he can sell to try to recoup losses. Because some of his, some customers' bikes were stolen, and he didn't have the interest to cover it.
Right? Didn't you tell me that he gave you an offer that was just ridiculous?
No, this was for a camera.
Oh, that was for a camera. That's right. Okay, yeah. So where is the bike shop in a bad area, or is it in a good area, or what?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It's more like in a party district on the edge of a district, Deep Ellum.
Yeah, so you're going to get some shady characters coming through automatically, I would think.
Yeah, like it's next to a lot of bars.
Oh yeah, that would make sense then. Okay, well, I hope you get it fixed soon.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about just letting him, have the bike. So, and then he wants me to buy this e-bike he has. Like we were debating on the price, like $1,200, but I'm thinking maybe $1,100.
Well, how much will he give you for your bike?
Well, the bike I'm buying is like retails for like $1,500 new. It's on sale now, so he's giving me like a big discount.
Okay.
So like the discount would cover like what I traded my bike for. Because if I just traded my bicycle at any store, like they'll probably give me $50.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Like my bike only retails for $400.
Well, I mean, it sounds like everybody would benefit then.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I hope it works out then.
That's gonna come out with $1,100.
What kind of car you drive?
I drive a CRV Honda.
Okay. Old, young?
Oh, 2009.
Oh, it's older than mine. Yeah, mine's a 2016, but mine's a Mini. I love that car. Ever since I started driving Mini Coopers, especially the Countryman, which is...
You're talking about I thought it was the Journeyman, the Countryman.
Yeah, I have the Countryman. And, of course, it's a John Cooper works, so it's like a little rocket ship when I want it to be. It'll do 160. But of all the cars I've ever had in my life, including my Porsche back in the 80s, this is my favorite car, probably by far. I just love this car to death. So, even though it's a 2016, I just love it. I think my plan now is when I can afford it, and probably in 2 or 3, 4 years, when I get ready for another car, I'll probably buy a new one of these. And then I'll be looking at the Aptera electric. Oh, and I did see a video from Aptera a few days ago, because I remembered I had told you about it. It sounds like they expect to be ready to put them out for production for the public in about a year from now.
Okay.
And it sounds like, if you've got $25,000, you're going to be able to get that car. I hope that doesn't change, but we'll see.
2,500, you mean?
25,000.
Ah.
But for an electric, that's cheap. You know that.
Yeah, actually it is.
Now, of course, if Trump didn't put the embargo on BYD cars coming from China, they would be very cheap too. I think they would come over here and you'd probably be able to get them for somewhere in the teens, in the thousands of teens. But it sounds like they're going to put a huge tax on them coming in.
Yeah, begin the tariffs.
And I'm seeing a bunch of videos by kind of people who are kind of expert with EVs, and a bunch of them are saying the BYD China car is better than in Tesla. Now, of course, you hear both sides of that, but I'm hearing more and more from people who I think are reputable, but that think that the BYD is a really good electric car. So who knows? But then again, there's a guy, a British guy who now lives in California, who lived in China for, I don't know, like 10 years. He hates everything about China. And he says that all their cars are blowing up.
Literally.
According to him, yeah. But then according to others, it's more dependable than some of Tesla's batteries, because BYD, before they made cars, they were making electric batteries for about, 14 years, a long time, like 2006 or something like that. So they're kind of experts in making batteries.
Okay, cool.
So as you can see, I do watch a lot of videos about these things, but I never thought I'd ever be interested in an electric car. But that Aptera, it just fascinates me. And it's also because, well, maybe that's a car I could afford, because I'm not going to be able to afford no $40,000 car, So what else we got? Anything exciting happening this weekend for you?
Yeah. I just have the community CERT class.
Community what class?
The CERT, community emergency response.
Oh yes. Okay, well, that's good.
That's tomorrow.
So you'll be qualified to save a life. That's a very good thing.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess we're about done. Anything else you want to say?
No.
Okay. Well, very glad you got in here. So I guess now we can expect every week you'll get a little bit earlier, maybe one article earlier. Is that it?
As the sun gets sets faster and faster, I'll come in earlier and earlier. Yeah, we could try that out.
And I appreciate that. All right, folks. Glad you came in, Brian. Thank you as always. And your contributions are always much appreciated. Glad we got Ted in here, even though we didn't get the face today. You got my face, so I'll deal with it. So I hope everybody has a very blessed weekend, and hopefully I or we will see you next week. Have a great weekend, folks. And let's remember, we all do better when we love each other.
Good night, y'all.